coming for you.
I'm not the one that needs to watch their back.
This doesn't have to end in a fight, Tony.
You just started a war.
Hello and welcome to the cine review of Captain America 3 Civil War. We all just saw the movie at the Showplace Icon in 2D with the Atmos sound, and we're now going to review it. And I'm going to come out first and say I thought this was a great episode of the Marvel TV show that comes to town looking like 2 to 3 times a year, but I do not think this was a good movie. I leave this to the panel to respond to me.
I would agree that this did sort of feel like a television show episode and less cinematic. I don't think it's that bad though, and I'm higher on it than you, I think.
I'm not sure if I'm higher on it than you. I was definitely bored throughout a majority of the runtime of this picture, but
Oh wow.
The thing about it is though that for most of the Marvel movies I've seen, the third act does not work, but the third act actually worked in this case, so I'm a little more tepid. It does look like a TV product, though. The way it's shot, it, for the most part, is very, very flat. But yeah, I guess I'm not very excited about it.
Wow, man, I'm going to come out on 2 things against you there. I think there were shots that were very cinematic.
Some of the shots.
For the trailers, obviously. And then I thought that the question posed in the beginning was not answered in the end. But before we talk about that, Paris, what are your thoughts on the movie? Also, the Blues Brothers called. They want their sunglasses back.
Yeah, thanks. I could have done without the movie some parts. I don't know. I wasn't really a big fan of it. There's a couple scenes that we'll probably highlight later on that I thought were world class. But other than that, I mean, I was like, after I had my popcorn in the first 5 minutes, I was like, oh, gosh. I wouldn't mind a bathroom break right now. Very little cleavage, by the way. Can we just talk about that?
So if you're looking for cleavage...
very little from Scarlett Johansson and Wanda.
Well,
I mean, come on now. I mean, she can use the Force. Can we,
She can use some form of the Force. Again, kind of like Hardcore Henry, they don't really define Scarlet.
Right.
You're supposed to pick up these things from reading the comics.
I guess so, but I could have used a little bit more of that,
And why don't we go around real quick? Is anyone here an avid comic reader more than let's say, you buy books on a weekly, monthly basis? Anyone?
No, just graphic novels.
Okay. Oh, you buy the trade paperbacks.
I like graphic novels.
Yes, I prefer the novels.
Comics.
We're pretentious guys. I think most people who are going to see this movie have already made up their mind. They're going to see it. They're going to pay to see it, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We think that's great. We would have done the same. We saw it tonight, and now we're sharing our opinion. Why don't we talk about that scene that we all liked right at the top so we can say some positive things? The airport scene where they've been teasing it in the trailers where the Marvel heroes, as we've come to know them, face off against each other.
Yeah, I know I said earlier that most of this movie is flat and it's just shot in a way that looks like TV, but that sequence does not. That is, for my money, some of the best superhero action I have ever seen, and based on that alone, if the whole movie were just that sequence, I would say go out, shell out your money for that. So excellent job of that sequence. Yeah,
I agree. It was funny, action packed. They used the superpowers of everyone perfectly. You're going to get introduced to a character you might not see coming out of left field, but the way they use his superpowers. Oops, maybe I said too much. It's a guy, obviously, but the way they use his
character. All the characters have been shown in the trailers.
Spider-Man?
Yeah, everyone knows Spider-Man.
Okay. Spider-Man's in this. Okay. Yeah. The way they use his power, the way they use Ant-Man's powers, I thought it was just perfect. It just all worked. It reminded me of, that scene in King Kong, the new one, Peter Jackson, where he fights the T-Rex.
T-Rexes.
And it's just for 15 minutes, you really are just holy gosh, what was that?
Yeah.
I don't want to, I'm not saying it was like that, but in terms of, I didn't want to move. I wanted to hear every little joke they had. It was the best scene I've seen since we started doing our reviews. I was very, very proud of that scene.
And not since the original Avengers movie with that really long shot where they're all working in tandem together have I seen a superhero action as good as that. So excellent job with that.
Yeah, you guys pretty much said it all. I think to something related to this is that the characters I felt were really well fleshed out in this movie for all the little time that they had, because there are so many characters in this movie. But I think that it was on the level of Avengers in terms of giving everyone character, and then that paid off in the action scene where you see everyone use their powers.
Well, let's start there. Is this a Captain America movie? Because I'll just say I don't think this is a Captain America movie. The only reason I think this movie wasn't called Captain America versus Iron Man was because there was another movie with DC characters that, to be honest, I was riveted about as much watching that movie based on, my nostalgia as a child as I was watching this movie based on my nostalgia as a child and now my adult nostalgia for these 10 or soon to be 20 other Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. So,
Yeah.
is this a Cap movie?
I don't think it's a Captain America movie as much as the last two, where he's definitely not as much of a driving force in this movie. I don't think.
He's the protagonist. I would
One
say.
of the protagonists.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that if this had been Captain versus Iron Man, people who really hate versus movies might not have gone after Batman versus Superman. So I think they made the right choice.
Well, this movie's pre-sold, and that's what I don't like about. Even when I saw Ant-Man last year, I looked at Ant-Man and I said, "This is great. This is like 75% of a great movie because I'm introduced to this character. They've got a story. It's got a beginning, middle, and end." But I wasn't satisfied at the end because I know there's 10 more movies coming.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Rudd signed to 12 movies, so it's. And in this movie, again, I'm going to come back to this. What question do we think was introduced in the beginning? And do we feel that was answered at the end? And I'll start by saying that I think the question is Captain America doesn't want to register with the government because he has a kind of instilled distrust of authority, while bad boy Tony Stark, Iron Man, who is usually a rebel, is now a patsy for the government, more or less, and that making him the antagonist to Captain America. But I don't feel that is resolved by the end. Somebody may say, like, oh, I've changed my mind by the end of the movie, but I don't feel it was substantively resolved, and I want someone to disagree with me on that.
Sorry, you're not going to get it. I agree, and I think that they're going to pay it off in episodes 2 and 3 of this TV show. So you're going to have to wait. I'm sorry. I wish we could all binge these movies on Netflix one at a time and watch like 15 of them.
But that's why I screamed at the end of Age of Ultron. Like, this movie didn't even answer, like, I feel I was at a disadvantage having seen some of the other movies because maybe I'm a little too anal retentive, but I went into Age of Ultron going, why is Tony Stark even using his suits after Iron Man 3, which is finally answered in this movie, but I don't think that these are, maybe that's planned out, maybe there's some master plan at Disney where everyone's sitting around going, we gotta answer these things, but it just feels episodic, it feels not like a movie. It felt like an episode. Really great one.
And we can get bogged down in the details, but that's not all our fault because they want us to look at the details and they want us to see these interconnected stories and they want it to be this serialized thing. And I think that Kevin Feige, is that the guy's name?
Kevin Feige.
Who's kind of in charge. He wants this like thing that all looks kind of the same. You could like interchange movies and they all feel like they're all in the same, they're all made by the same people. And they want you to like see, oh, this was set up here and this MacGuffin was here, and this thing that explodes was here, and then you kind of connect it. So when you start going, I don't know, there's too much going on, and why didn't they answer that? I think that's fair, and I wish it wasn't like that.
Like when one character says, oh, I don't know what this thing in my head is. Clearly it's an Infinity Stone, and that will mean nothing to you. It's not a spoiler. We already know the specific Infinity Stone I was referring to is in this movie. If you saw Age of Ultron.
Nerd.
Thank you. But, like, that doesn't pay off at all. I like movies where, like, every little thing that's said is paid off in the end. I'm going to try to think of a great example. Well, the Avengers. I think the Avengers, every little thing was paid off. Like, when Tony Stark makes a joke about the cellist that Coulson was dating, and sorry to go too deep MCU on everyone, but, like, there's even the jokes are paid off within the confines of the movie, whereas I feel like there's parts of this movie that are only paid off by the lineage of movies ahead of it. And maybe that's just you go in knowing that.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, I think you're right. Like the fact that this movie leaves all these open-ended things, it undercuts the thematic resonance of the picture, and it works against it, I think.
So the quandary I'm in is I'm going to end up seeing this movie again because I've already bought tickets. So I'm in a position where, say, my female romantic partner hasn't seen all the MCU movies. Would she? Do you think there's enough in this movie to get somebody who can it sell itself on its own?
I think so. What do you guys think?
What do you think?
No,
No.
Okay.
Do you think your girlfriend would like the Spares?
no.
Really? Why not? You gotta justify it to the camera while your girl.
I mean,
she
it
might
was
see
just,
this.
I mean, there's a couple good scenes. Great scene, when they're running through the subway. When you first get introduced to the Black Panther.
I like
But-
the Black Panther in this movie.
Yeah, that's my favorite guy ever.
Very-
Are you from that made-up country?
No, which I was thinking, is that a real country? But it's just, I don't think she'd like it, just because it was slow to me. It was boring, I don't know.
Yeah.
This did like the last Captain America, the Winter Soldier was specifically supposed to be a political thriller
Yeah.
versus a war movie like the Captain America: The First Avenger. I don't know what this movie was. Was it a political thriller? Because it was sometimes. Then other times it was.
If it was a political thriller, it was political thriller light as light can be.
I think that it tapped into a very basic American question that was like, do you want big government or a little government? Well, they're kind of going back to that well again, because it's like, do you want the government, you want supervision, or you want to trust individuals? It's like the libertarian versus socialist kind of thing boiled down. And I think that's a fine setup for a superhero movie, because you got to keep it simple because it's superheroes, and there's so many details that you got to learn that I think the core should be simple. So I like that. I think that's fine. I think working as by itself. I didn't see Age of Ultron, so when the dude showed up, sorry Disney, don't snipe me. When the dude showed up, who's the computer, who's
Vision.
Iron Man's
Played
computer.
by Paul Bettany?
Yep,
Yes, got that
Nice.
right. Married to Jennifer Connelly, actually.
that's
Okay.
right.
Okay,
Lucky bastard.
invite me to your anniversary party, guys.
So when he showed up, I was like, he looks goofy. I don't know about this. But then I got to like him as a character because I thought he had a good arc in this movie. And it's the classic AI who's learning about love thing, which I might be spoilers. I should maybe. Dial that back.
Sure, there is a non-humanoid. Well, there's a non-human.
And it's not even necessarily he's learning about love. It's just that character's motivations were clear, and I liked them, and they were related to another character, the Scarlet Witch, who I also don't know about because I didn't see Ultron. But it just felt like an X-Men movie where you get in the movie and then you meet all the X-Men, and that was fine for me. It's just weird characters, superpowers.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Mm.
Did you see X-Men: Days of Future Past?
Yes.
Did you think that was a better movie than this?
Probably overall, yeah. But I think this had higher highs. But yeah.
Okay, you're talking about the fight specifically.
Yeah.
The reason I make that comparison is because Days of Future Past brought in 30 characters, just like this movie did, but it had a resolution in the end, it felt like to me.
That had a more epic story. It sort of was like this big. I like the story in that better, and I think it was a more self-contained story. So I think you're right about that. Yeah, this one is not self-contained by design, and maybe someday we'll go back and watch all these movies in a row, and it'll just be a revelation. It'll be like 2001 or something. Be like, oh, this is the greatest movies ever made, and I don't know.
I don't know. I liked Iron Man 2 a little bit more when I was binge watching all of them. So
And you didn't like Iron Man 2 the first time around?
no, I thought it was it wasn't very good.
Well, you see, what I was thinking during the middle of this movie is, darn it, Marvel knows how to make a third movie, because the third Iron Man is probably my favorite.
Very good, yeah.
That could have been Shane Black, the guy who did Kiss
I
Kiss
think it
Bang
was
Bang.
mostly Shane Black that made the movie good.
But I like the guys who did this movie did the last Captain America movie, and until then, that was my, probably my most favorite of the Marvel movies. Maybe Iron Man 3 would be higher up. What were your favorite MCU movies before this one?
Oh, without a doubt, Iron Man 1.
Okay, good.
I think that's a
Without
good
a
one.
doubt.
That was up there for
I
me.
didn't care for Iron Man 1. That had a bad third act.
Did you see that when it came out?
Yeah, I saw it before it came out. Actually.
I don't remember the third act, so you're probably right. But I thought the first two acts was good.
I like Guardians of the Galaxy and Iron Man 3. Those are the ones I like.
Okay.
Okay. I like Guardians of the Galaxy, but again, that's where it's like they're playing with me, they're titillating me to get ready for. Yep, they're titillating me. That's how you titillate
Well,
kids.
not there.
You
Stop doing that.
for
Why would you say kids?
because I think this movie's aimed at
I don't
children.
think it is. It has
and-
6 squares in it though.
The worst swear comes from the youngest character, which again, I'm sorry to ruin that for you, but I don't think kids would like this movie. Like, 12-year-old me would watch it, but I'd get bored in the theater. I'd watch it at home and take pauses to go play with Legos or do other things. I think. Maybe I've got a problem.
No, yeah, because this is like a 2.5-hour movie, like 90 minutes of which is just talking heads shot in a way that's not particularly interesting, and they're not even talking about things that are that interesting. So I think that kids would get bored.
But like compared to a Transformers movie, those movies are 2.5 hours long too.
That's true. Those have a lot more action in them, though.
Yeah, they've got a lot more. Like, the one thing I would say versus a Transformers movie is the action in this, I know what's going on, I can tell what's going on, and I like that.
Let's come back to that, because that's kind of baffling to me. But the thing about Transformers is, like it or not, Michael Bay has a style, and it's having the camera constantly flying in the background, speeding by. That's his style, and maybe it's not good, but it's a style. And this movie lacks style, and I think it was smoothed out by the Marvel filmmaking process.
Excluding the airport sequence, right?
Excluding the airport sequence, which I think was done pretty well. We'll see if we can talk about that. But I wanted to say something about what you just said about the action. What did you think of the action? Could you follow it?
Yeah. Oh, we do what? This movie we just watched?
This movie.
Yes,
Yeah.
I could follow the action. I understood who was getting punched. I understood what mechanics were moving, what weaponry was being fired. I appreciated that.
Yeah.
90% of the action, like everything before the airport sequence, I thought was cut really just badly. It looked like
Really?
Yeah, no, it was just cut, and I don't like that kind of cutting. It's like the first Transformers movies or the Bourne Identity 2, the second one, where it's just
okay.
See, I was talking about so I agree with you there. I thought you were talking about more like
Can you tell what's going on?
The Iron Man CGI stuff that looked good, but you're right. The action where people like Scarlett Johansson is actually fighting someone who's 6 times bigger than her.
When she has
I was like, no way, come on, are you kidding me? Like,
when she has that move where she jumps up on the guys and like spins around, the way they did it in this movie was just like 5 cuts to show one movement.
I'm like, I didn't even see her face, anything like that. It was just like, come on.
I was looking for that too. Like, did the stunt double's wig go across her face? And then you're right, they did cut, and I thought about that, but I was like,
The live action fighting scene, like when it was humans fighting, it was terrible.
And I think that airport scene is a real standout, and I don't think it's a spoiler to say there's a lot of CGI in that scene because the superheroes doing crazy stuff that is impossible. And I think that that's a mark of really good animation, and animation directors working on this movie doing good CGI and good CGI.
I wonder where Disney would get good animation directors. What's funny to me is that I watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., as we talked about before the movie, and like I watched an episode where they did a straight 6 guys come at one person, and all the camera did was pivot around that person.
That sounds great.
And they fought the person. Same with Daredevil. Daredevil has great action. And then you get to these big budget movies, and you can see the money goes into keeping Robert Downey Jr. thin, felt, and looking great.
Pumping him
Robert. And the CGI.
Yeah. But these directors, the Russo brothers, they can do action well, and they do in this movie. I think it really is an editing thing, maybe. I don't know.
Because the problem, as we were talking about before the movie, you have to do lots of edits to keep the 12-year-olds engaged just as much as the 32-year-olds.
I don't know. I liked kung fu movies when I was 12, and a bunch of edits.
In the third Transformers movie, that had a lot of longer takes, and that was fine.
Are you advocating for the third Transformers?
I'm saying that had better
Transformers
action than the
super fan.
first two. I'm saying the action sequences in the third one.
I would agree that the third Transformers movie, which this is not a review for, so we apologize. But hey, you probably watch those movies too if you're watching this.
Yeah.
So what's funny is that I feel like we've kind of, driven this to criticizing the movie when we all said, we like the movie, and we would have paid for it and felt fine. If we didn't pay for the movie today as we're doing the review, if I had paid for it, I would have felt fine. I would have felt like I got my money's worth, but I just wouldn't come out saying what I know about movies. This didn't do anything for that because it didn't. The end didn't make me feel good about what I learned in the beginning. It felt like, get ready for the next episode. When's the next Marvel movie come out? November or something? Where we get to find out where Thor and Hulk were for this movie.
Yeah.
Something.
Okay. Well, let's end on this, guys, because I think we've kind of gone around and said, we like these movies. We liked this movie. It's just we're having a hard time recommending it to anyone that isn't already pre-sold.
Yeah, if you're already a fan, I mean, you're gonna have a good time because you know what the bar is, and this movie hits the bar. I think.
Hits the bar. I wouldn't say. Well, would you say Winter Soldier was more satisfying than this?
I think Winter Soldier had a better script, but I don't know. This movie had higher highs for me. Like
Okay.
I think this movie was better. I think the villain was better.
the villain. Yeah.
Who's the villain in this movie?
Well, that's
the
just it.
tragic-
So
yeah.
it's a tragic villain. Oh, everyone has great motivation, so you don't know who the villain is. I won't
Okay.
spoil
Yeah.
it, but-
Sure. Yeah. I can see that, and I'll go along with it. I would say like. If you can wait till they're all out at the end of the year, you can wait till Christmas when the kids put it on.
Yeah.
Do that. Sorry, Disney. I don't mean to want to hurt the stock price or anything, but why don't we end on this, guys? What Marvel character, preferably featured in this movie, do you identify with most? Matthew, you look very contemplative, so I'll start with you.
Ant-Man, I guess.
Ant-Man.
Yeah, just because I feel like I really relate to Paul Rudd and the way he views things and his character.
Very good, very good. I guess I'll say I'm on between the Cap and Iron Man debate. I'm on Cap's side, and I knew that going into the movie, and also having knowledge of what's in the comics and what this was drawing from. I was on Cap's side there too. I'm a libertarian, somewhat. So, Paula?
In terms of that debate, I'm not sure where I stand. But it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, it's about friendship, and I think that the person who embodied
Which Marvel? Who embodied friendship? I do want to hear the end of that.
Paul Rudd, of course, because he's just delightful.
So Ant-Man would be the character
You
that
can't
you
pick the
identify.
same one as me.
You can't pick.
I went
There's a
first.
savesies rule.
Guys, this is the playground. Everyone's got to pick a different character. I was bold and picked a different character than
What
Matthew.
did you pick? You just
I
weighed
picked
in on
Captain
some
America.
Political debate.
I decided I would be Captain America.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, I'll be
Alright,
Captain
alright.
America. I guess I'll be Captain America.
Okay. I hope I'm not stealing this from you, Paris. No, I know yours. I'm gonna say Spider-Man is in this movie, and I think this is my favorite on-screen Spider-Man. And maybe it's just because it's so short and you don't have to be.
You have to put up with it all.
Yeah, he's a side character, so he can be more fun.
You make a strong point. I did not like. I'm sure if I met you, Tobey Maguire, Leonardo DiCaprio parties with you, but I didn't care for him as Spider-Man, and I didn't even make it to Andrew Garfield's second outing. I skipped through it on Blu-ray when I watched it just to see the action sequences. So yeah, Tom Holland, your 30 minutes as Spider-Man leaves us hoping.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going Spider-Man.
Paris,
What was the question?
which Marvel character would you say you identify with most, and why?
Oh man, that's a good one.
Yeah,
You know what?
I can tell you're going to pick Scarlett Johansson's character, Black Widow, since you said you could fight very well.
I'd say if my ex-girlfriend were to answer this question, she'd say I resemble Ant-Man. And
Again, playground rules.
In other
Matthew
ways.
picked Ant-Man first.
Again,
You can beat Ant-Man to
I'm
my
also
next
talking
ex-
one.
about,
girlfriend's not here.
I'm talking about another way she'd call me Ant-Man.
Oh.
And, if
Oh,
I were to choose
I get
what
that.
That's kid
character, if I were to choose what character I identify with, it's obviously Scarlett Johansson.
The actress, not the character.
Just her.
Just her body of performance.
And, the curls and the look and the lips and, that's all I needed.
Very good. So, from a slightly reduced panel, we are saying if you're already going to see this movie, you're probably going to enjoy it. Thank you. This has been a Cine Review.
All right, I've run out of patience. On to roost!
Hey, everyone.